Hello and welcome back to Enigmatic Retro Rewind, and today Johann and I will be ranking the Scream movies on cult versus current. Do you like the Scream movies? What's your favourite Scream movie?
Boo!
Oh, this is a great shot. I remember this being disturbing because look, you see the penetration of the blade. It's like...
It's done really well, this. Oh! Ugh.
Right then, Johann, we'll kick off. My number 5 in the series is, I think I think Scream 3 is the weakest.
Yeah, I agree.
In the series. So should we talk about Scream 3 for a moment? Like, if we agree on that one?
Yeah, I agree.
You guys should get out too! It's crazy to still be here!
Oh! Nasty.
This movie's wild. It's got some wild Scooby-Doo energy, this one has.
Definitely. It is. It's got something going for it, I'll tell you that much.
So Scream 3, I still enjoy Scream 3. I find it very funny. I hated it at the time, but I watched all of them recently in over a weekend. And Scream 3 is very entertaining in a just kind of like popcorn way, and it's like, as I said in reaction, it's got a silly, wild Scooby-Doo energy to it.
It's so weird looking back at it now and realizing it is definitely the dumbest out of all of them. It's dumb, it's illogical once you figure out who the bad guy is at the end of it. Like, oh, okay.
I hate the director bad guy. Like.
Yeah, oh God, I hate him. And also the fact, like, I get it. And this is the weird thing with criticizing these movies in particular. Like, the movies are, you're not sure whether the movies are purposely designed to be this way or not, because, you know, they're making a commentary and they're so meta. And this one is basically, actually the movie basically says, look what happens with with trilogies when in the third one, you know, the other sequels after the first and the second one are never as good.
Yeah.
Up here.
Dewey, here. You got Roman and Angelina too. We'll be safe if we stick together, won't we?
Of course. Why?
Punch! Falco! Punch! Like, this is... I remember this being so ridiculous. Like, look at it! This feels more like a slapstick comedy than a horror movie.
I know, but it is pretty funny.
It is funny.
Well, I will say, if you're a fan of Courtney Cox and Gail Weathers, you get a lot of her in 3, so it's almost like her movie, like in a way.
Yeah, because Sydney's barely in it.
Yeah. So if you're a fan of her, which I am, I do like Courtney Cox. So, but that's if you can put up with her fringe.
That is the ugliest haircut.
Wow. Do you know it's a false fringe?
False fringe?
It's a hairpiece because she didn't. They wanted to like give an interesting look.
Interesting.
But it wasn't supposed to be that short.
Yeah.
The costume department or whatever, they cut it a bit too short, so she ended up with a shorter fringe than expected. But it kind of looks deliberate to me because that was very fashionable in the 90s to have a short fringe.
It did, but the way it was pulled off was ugly. But anyway, point being is that. It's fine-ish, I guess. It is the dumbest, and trying to follow its logic feels really dumb.
Yeah.
Like, if you're like, that's pretty dumb. Although, you're right, it is surprisingly funny.
Oh, you motherfucker!
Oh,
Damn, you motherfucker! Oh my god! Slapstick!
Oh! I forgot that bit! Jesus Christ!
So, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is 5.
Right. Okay. What are your thoughts? Let's talk about what we liked and what we disliked. Which one did you want to do first?
Let's do the bits we liked, because I feel like as an overall, I think, from what we've discussed a little bit before, I think I'm going to have a very different opinion.
Okay.
So let's talk about stuff that we liked first before we get to stuff that we didn't like.
Right, well, I went into the movie completely with low expectations. I was thinking, I'm not that impressed with sequels right now. I went to see Matrix, didn't like that. So I was like, that put me on a downer for sequels. So I was thinking, I'm probably not going to like this, but I'm a fan of the series, so I'll go in and watch it.
Sure.
And I think that was a good thing to do because I was very pleasantly surprised by a lot in the movie. I liked the fact that it had a good balance of serious and silly.
Like, who else is a landline these days?
I know. Everyone just lets them ring, don't they? Or
It's always a scammer.
it surprised me, basically. Like, for example, the opening. By the way, spoilers on Scream 5. By the way, like all through the entire series, spoilers.
Spoilers, yes,
So
please.
in the opening,
Yeah.
usually in every Scream movie, you have this this epic opening death scene.
Yeah.
And the girl doesn't die for a start.
Would you like to play a game, Tara?
Ooh. Oh! Alright, right in the gut.
Little cheeky one.
It is quite cheeky, this bit. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. This bit, really good. I like this bit.
Doors unlocked.
It did bring quite a bit of tension in this. Is he in the house? Ah! I will admit, that opening sequence, I really like the opening sequence.
Yes.
I think it really and I like how it modernized certain things and did a few things a bit different. Like, for example, no one picks up a landline anymore. You know, half the time there's a marketers doing scammer stuff.
No, you're right, but isn't it kind of eerie when you get a call on that line because no one used it? It's kind of like, oh no, I'm kind of weird, morbidly curious about who that is.
Yeah.
But I don't want to answer at the same time.
It's also like the apps we use, like the whole. I mean, we joked about it to have a whole app to literally electronically lock your house, but that sequence where she's locking and unlocking the door generally gave me a little bit of tension going because it's like, for God's sake, just close the door.
I know.
Boo!
Samantha, I know who you are.
I've been through this a lot.
Yes, she has
This is
4
your life now,
times.
which means that whoever this is going to keep coming for you.
I really liked the new, like, sort of protagonist that has been set up for future movies.
Oh, Samantha.
I love the fact that she has the ghost of Billy Loomis, like, psychologically.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah. To some people, that could be goofy, and I might be falling slightly into that camp. But I will say this: I like the fact that this character isn't a complete blank slate. Because a lot of the time, look, if you look at Sidney Prescott from the beginning, she was kind of designed almost to not have much of a personality in the first movie.
Hello?
It's happening. 3 attacks so far. Do you have a gun?
I'm Sidney Prescott. Of course I have a gun.
Well, after this point, you'd have to,
Something
right?
about this one just feels different.
It does feel a bit different. From the few things I like about this, I do like the deaths. The deaths are surprisingly visceral and nasty, more so than some of the other ones in the franchise. It's pretty bad. Like, whew.
So, what's your favourite kill?
Oh, okay. So my favorite kill in terms of just how over the top it gets is basically the having Wes and Wes's mum getting nastily stabbed.
The knife in the neck, and you see the blade penetrate the, like, is it like the knife or the face or the neck? I think it's like the neck, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
And
that's
it
nasty.
goes. It's like I think it looks like a practical effect. It kind of goes in, and you see the blade come out as well. And then what's so
wiggles.
eerie and like unsettling about that scene is it almost looks quite sexual for Ghostface. He's up in their face, kind of like doing. It's not a heavy stab. It's a very slow, sort of like sensual stab, and he's like right in the face. It's
Which basically, when you find out about the deaths and find out who the killers are in that one, you don't know. Maybe it could have been. We don't know.
Yeah,
But
it's very sort of eerily sexual, that one. I really like the comedy elements as well. There's a bit where they're talking about the ridiculous Stab movie sequels, and there's one where you see Ghostface with a metal mask and a flamethrower.
Oh, the chrome mask and the flamethrower with butch arms going. Brrr. Okay, admittedly, even though it's one of the dumbest jokes, it is a funny joke. All right, I love that bit. No, I wouldn't say I would. One thing I also liked is just the use of the legacy characters. Dewey in particular.
You ready for this? Never.
Another evolution of Gale's hair.
Well,
certain rules
the evolution of
to
Gail's
survival.
plastic surgery as well.
We'll talk about that later, Jesus. Oh, Dewey!
Keys to our past.
God damn it,
Pull us
Dewey.
all back here.
Solid gold. I loved everything with Dewey. This arc of having to be an alcoholic and having to fight his way to get being like he's thrown back in the game and he knows this is his life now. He's trying to get better at it and it literally becomes to a degree almost the hero of the piece.
Oh, I like, in terms of legacy characters, they fall into both dislikes and likes for me because I loved what they did with Dewey.
Yes.
I thought that Gail and Sydney were kind of just there.
Yeah, that's definitely a negative for them. And it's a shame, really, because looking at what we did with the trailer, you'd kind of think they would be in it a lot more.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't mind that too much because I'm actually one of these people, I kind of, with movies, I kind of want them to kind of hand over the baton a little bit. And I don't mind, I've kind of had enough of the legacy characters in a weird way. I mean, some people say, oh, you can't have the Scream movies without them. But I want the series to continue and become fresh again. So I do want, as long as they're good, the next generation of characters, I want them to be in it more, you know. And that's why I kind of like this movie, because it focuses on the new characters quite a lot, and only has the legacy characters just there to help out, really. Okay, so we focused quite heavily on positives there. I didn't like the fact that, because I really like Matthew Lillard, right? And I like Stu Macker, the character.
Better live her alone. Live her alone.
And I don't like the fact that there was no homage to him.
There's no mention.
Well, there is, but it's almost like he's disregarded because the way that the killer catches out with the stab trivia is who was the killer in the original stab? Billy Loomis. No, I'm afraid that's wrong. It was Stu Macker and Billy Loomis.
Yeah.
So you like they're deliberately saying people forget about Stu Macker.
Yeah.
And also, there's obviously you've got Billy Loomis in the Visions as well. They got the actor back.
Well, let's get into that.
You've got loads of legacy elements with Randy because of the family connected to Randy's. So where's all the love for Lillard?
Put Stu in somewhere, you know? Like either family connection or the fact Stu's never dead and he's been here the whole time.
He did get a TV in the face.
He did get a TV in the face.
In your dreams.
But you never know. There could have been a little extra love for Stu, I think.
Yeah, I definitely think so. When I watch Scream 1, when I rewatch it, the bit I always laugh at is all his parts.
Yeah.
He's hilarious in the movie. He's just a funny actor. Right, so come on then, give me more of your negatives.
All right. Personally, I'm not gonna lie, I really didn't like this.
Right.
I really didn't. And there's 3 points that, like, I've made all the positives are my positives. They stay. But there are 3 moments in it, or 3 points in this movie where I sat there feeling like, So, number 1. Even though there are some good characters with the youth characters, whatever it is, you know, whatever. I kind of liked Wes, but Wes didn't last long enough. God damn it! That could be a lot. That could be interpreted in many ways. But there's a moment where where Sam meets up with Tara's friends for the first time, right? And then they meet up properly, like in the room, and they have the whole thing, and they sit down and they talk about movies and stuff like that. And I know this is supposed to be very similar to the first one, where, you know, Randy's go around and talk about this is how you survive a horror movie. But to me, I sat there and I said, like, you're literally telling me actually the purpose this movie was even made, which is the whole idea of we're going to critique a whole bunch of legacy characters and bringing all this in. I said, like, this was for me, one point, I sat there going, like, you're literally telling me filmmaking 101, like film criticism, film studies 101 of what you're doing here. Show me, don't tell me why you're making this movie.
Right.
Because the whole point is like, oh, it's basically people are getting mad about the movie and about all these bad movies, so they're going to do a legacy movie. Let's do a requel. It's called a requel. Why is it called a requel?
Because that's an established thing now. It's like you got
hate
Halloween
that.
2018 is
Star Wars and...
It's a reboot that's a sequel.
But I hate the fact that literally I was lectured to for 5 minutes by this character. And then all the other characters, with all the Scream movies, partly less with Scream 4, but all the other ones, there was only one expert. of horror movies per se, really. Every one of them talked like they were already semi-experts in horror movies, and I didn't like that.
Okay.
Because I sat there going like, look, okay, you guys watch horror movies, you're all great, whatever. You should only have the one movie nerd who explains things and does that, as it were.
Do you think that's because the horror genre is more beloved now, and you've got more movie geeks than you used to have?
Well, you know, there's one line, which is that I prefer the Babadook, which I'll explain that bit in a minute.
Elevated
horror. Oh, I hated that. That's the filmmakers being snobby about horror. It's like, oh, there's elevated horror. No, horror is horror. Doesn't matter if it's elevated or schlock.
Well, Ghostface is playing us in our opinion in that respect, because he's like, sounds a bit fancy pants to me when she talks about Babadook. Like.
Yeah, and it's like no, horror is horror no matter what it is. I felt, maybe at this point I felt slightly personally attacked, but I don't know. I sat there going like, I really didn't like that speech, and to me I'm thinking, okay, right, that's a little bit. 2. The second part is, look, the hospital scene's really interesting, and, you know, poor Dewey, but, I get it, but now I've realised this. I've watched several movies with you with the empty hospital trope. And now I've personally hate that now.
Halloween 2.
Halloween 2, and also Cobra for a little bit. Do you remember we watched Cobra?
Yeah.
And there's loads of movies now where I'm realising this empty hospital trope. And I personally am now annoyed at this. And I get it, it's a private floor and whatever, but it seems like I really hated that bit of saying like there must be more people somewhere.
Yeah.
Where are all these goddamn people?
I'm such a fan of that setting that I will like it every time I see it.
I've grown personally tired of it. But I think it's because I get what they were doing, and it's nice and all to have it's cool looking, but it took me slightly out of the movie.
Right.
And then finally, I really didn't like the reveal. Who the bad guys were and their motivation.
Right.
So
okay. Similar to Scream 4, really. It's like crazy fans. I mean, there are a lot of crazy fans nowadays.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of social media bullshit, like on Twitter and stuff, like angry fans. And they seem like a lot of them seem absolute psychos. So I think it was just riffing on that, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. But I'll say something about that. Scream 4. The whole thing, it was a little bit different. I think it worked. I think the ending of Scream 4 works even better now because of how social influences are now. The idea of, well, I'm going to kill in order so I could be the new Sidney Prescott and I could be the new social influencer. I am the famous one now, not you. That works better than a bunch of crazy fans who met in a forum and said, we didn't like the last movie, let's go out and murder people so they make a better movie. And on top of that, by the way, you have Amber, who is what's she supposed to be, 17? Richie, who's what, 30? Does anyone not question that? That's the scariest part of that ending. I really didn't like it. I think I felt like it was people who like these movies. I felt like I was being shouted at and told off for liking these movies.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are angry about the changes in film, though.
Yeah.
And it kind of made sense to me because there's a lot of people who hate movies with social commentary and stuff like that, and they just want those classic movies to be like standard horror movies.
And I understand that. I get what it was trying to do, but I don't think it pulled it off properly.
Okay.
I kind of feel like if they could have done it that felt a little less cringy and a little less flat. And plus, at the same time, I kind of sussed out who the bad guys were in the first 20 minutes, which isn't good for a series that's famous for being like a murder whodunit, and you can literally look at Amber and go, you bloody did it. You so did it. I look at Amber and go, you so did it. Look at your face. You so did it. And then you look at Richie, who's so easy. Oh, I've never heard of the Stab franchise. You so did it. Okay. Again, another reason why it took me out, because I think I sussed the mystery way too early. Whether that's because I'm a fan of horror movies and I can able to suss it out, or the clues were too obvious and they planted it too early to not be like a good surprise reveal.
You've been watching too much Agatha Christie.
It's probably me just watching a lot of Poirot and going like,
These little curious things. I like to see them appear. They point the way.
I can suss it out. But that's the thing for me. I feel like those were the main three major negatives to me. Everything else I can rely and I can kind of go through and so on. But it really dragged me out. And I felt like that ending in particular being like, it's Uber fans who are doing it. I think personally it's bad tasting.
Yeah.
Because it's not just, because yes, there are a minutiae of fandoms that are just really bad. The Star Wars fandom with the recent trilogy of movies is toxic and bad, and I get that. But what about the fans who aren't? And, you know, they aren't, and now you're putting us in the same bubble as them almost?
Okay.
And that's how I felt. I felt a bit like, nah, you're not going cheaply.
That's fair enough. I understand all your points, but I still like the movie.
No, but that's fine. I mean, you can like the movie.
Yeah, of course.
I think, like I said, those 3 points in particular, especially the last one, just took me out completely.
And I won't sleep until he's in the ground.
Yeah! That's actually pretty. I love when she says that. It's quite brutal, this movie. Not gonna lie. Bam!
We've talked about 5 enough.
Yes.
So my number 4 is actually Scream 4.
Really?
Watch this.
Uh-oh. Please don't.
Speaking. What's your favorite scary movie, Olivia?
Never play pranks.
Are you gonna stab your head where the stab-a-thon's gonna be yet?
No, it doesn't matter to me anyways. My mom doesn't let me go.
It's Trevor. I'll handle this.
Oh my God, there's so many people calling.
Oh yeah. What do you want?
I want to talk to Jill.
No, it's Kirby. Sorry, Trevor. Jill is screening her calls from all past relationships. I can barely hear you, Trevor.
Uh-oh. This isn't Trevor. Scream 4 is a little bit higher on my list.
I mean, we can talk about it at the highest point if you want. We can talk about it when we get to where it ranks on your list.
Sure, which will actually be there. My one's 3. Oh, so the next one is on 3rd. My third one would be 4.
Okay, so let's talk about Scream 4 now.
Go on.
I mean, the thing is with me, I love this series, so even though they're ranked as they are, I still like all the movies.
Yes.
But Scream 4 it's definitely better than Scream 3, and it's got a very sort of, it's got the fun element still.
Yes.
But it's got some good characters in it.
What's going on over there, you guys?
I love this bit. The tension building up here is really good.
Kirby. Kirby.
Come on, do it.
There's no way you're in there.
See for yourself.
She's confident, isn't she?
Well, she's always been confident. She is the cheerleader that saves the world.
Kirby!
Wrong closet.
Liar. I'm over this.
I never said I was in your closet.
Dun dun dun.
I love that bit.
I like Emma Roberts in everything.
Oh, she's so good.
As well as allegations of bestiality.
No one forced that goat to get as drunk as it got. That's on him.
And she's great in that movie, so that gives it a lot of points for me. I liked the film geek guys that were always filming everything. That was a really cool element.
You film your entire high school experience and post it on the net?
Everybody will be doing it someday, Sid.
I love that. It's moving to the next logical step. It's them vlogging almost and filming all the shit up. It's, hey, look at this stuff.
And that was a new thing at that point, wasn't it?
This is why.
Live streaming, like on the fly kind of thing.
And that's kind of the reason why I think Scream 4, as a movie, you can watch it now and still be like, I get this. And it's weird that was predicted about 10, 11 years ago.
Yeah.
So their crew, they were on the pulse. They knew what it was. Uh-oh. God damn it, Sydney!
Oh, through the hand!
Oh, God damn it, that's nasty. Oh, shit, that was aggressive.
Oh, it's a brutal kill scene, this.
That was in the spine, too. Jesus.
Oh!
Do something!
Shit.
Yeah, the cops lots of shit in this movie.
She's going to be gutted at this rate as well. It's all in the stomach area.
That's a proper splatter room there. Bye, buddy.
When I first saw Scream 4, I didn't really like it at all, I admit. It's weird, it's grown on me. It's like Scream 3 has grown on me. I didn't like that one at first either. But yeah, it's still, because of the strength of the other films, I still will put it at 4 on my list.
So where's your 3? What's your 3?
My number 3 is Scream 5.
All right then.
So obviously I've said how much I love the movie, but I've got to put some of the other ones higher up.
And does this mean then that our 2s and 1s are the same?
I wouldn't imagine
so. Yes, so it's...
as they are, like Scream... Yeah.
So number 2 is 2, 1 is 1.
So we can just talk about them in order, like
Go on.
Reverse order at that point.
Okay,
Scream 2 has got a hell of an opening, like the first movie. The stab, and it introduces the whole stab thing, and I love stab. I love the whole stab franchise thing.
Yeah.
I'd almost like to see stab movies.
Well, did you? I think you remember, like they go for the stab IMDb and realize there's quite a few people in there.
Yeah.
They had David Schwimmer according to that one, so you had like a whole list of all these fake people, all these celebrities being in the stab movie.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen that version.
I mean, I've even got my friend Tommy Draper. He got me a stab poster.
Yeah.
So
I've got
that. I've got that as well. It's I love that opening. I love the fact that, like, I love the crazy sort of like cinema atmosphere when they're watching the stab movie, and I love the fact that someone can be killed in plain sight, like in front of everyone, when you've got all these, and it sort of, it becomes like a weird thing where they think it's a publicity stunt, don't they?
Yeah, because they've almost been tricked into it by this point, because they're so that theatre is, goddamn, what a ruckus. Like, I'm telling you, no one knows how to shut up in that theatre. But yeah, it feels like you can't, no one can tell whether it's a publicity stunt or not. Then going into it, they talk about the strength of sequels and talking about how everything is just up the ante, and the whole point of a sequel is that the rules are now different.
The body count is always bigger. Number 2, the death scenes are always much more elaborate. More blood, more gore. Carnage, candy. And
I like that one, to me, felt like a purpose unpredictability to it, where you think certain characters will last longer and they didn't. Ah, there he is!
I'm not interrupting anything, am I? You 3.
I knew you played the scene. I knew you played the scene.
So, what's up?
What's you?
How you doing? How you doing, buddy? How you doing with all your murdering?
What's yours?
I love his answer. What's your favourite scary movie? Randy's his showgirls.
It's pretty scary if you watch it.
Why are you even here, Randy? You'll never be the leading man.
Fuck you!
It's like, don't call me a side character.
You'll never, ever get the girl.
Hey! Shit! Sorry.
Or the big reveal at the end, which is goddamn Debbie Salt.
Yeah.
My motive isn't as 90s as Mickey's. Mine is just good old-fashioned revenge. You killed my son.
Wow!
She's a proper, like, Mrs. Voorhees type, though, isn't she?
I love Debbie Salt.
Yeah, she goes absolutely batshit crazy at the end, and it's a bit of a hard turn, but it's like...
It's earned it.
Yeah.
It's earned it by this point, to suddenly have the reveal, like, Debbie Salt, a.k.a. Billy's mom. It's like, Jesus Christ!
I would argue, though, in Scream 2, I wish it was just her, the killer was just her, because do you need the 2 killers again?
But I think it's, yeah, I know, but it's now, ironically, because they kept that, it's now a trope where you have to have 2 killers in every movie, or at least have a reveal of there's always an accomplice.
I loved the detective duo of Dewey and Gale in the second one.
Really good.
And I love the fact that they had the addition of Randy as well in Scream 2, because I love Randy. Randy's my favourite character in the first movie, and obviously I like him in the second movie.
Although unfortunately we do know he doesn't last.
Yeah, so we had to react to that scene because it's an important moment for Randy, where he's got a lot of courage and he's sticking up against the killer, but unfortunately he doesn't know that the killer's right next to him.
So bad.
You want to be one of the big boys? Huh? Manson? Bundy? OJ?
OJ. Oh, no!
No, not Randy. I love these guys.
Perfect timing.
No.
3-4.
I remember thinking, like, in denial, like, he's not dead.
He's
Randy,
fine.
You can't kill Randy.
He's fine. He's fine. He's fine. Nah, he's not fine. And when you watch this bit, like, nah, he's not fine. Shame for him. But yeah, and yeah, I feel like it's good. It works right off the energy because the movie came out literally the year after, didn't it?
Yeah.
So I think the reason why the second one worked so well, even though it felt like it was maybe per se a rushed production because it was just a year, I felt they were running off the same energy.
Yeah.
And they were able to go with that energy and have that ready. Plus the writer, he actually wrote already a trilogy, already prepared almost, didn't he? So he kind of already knew, like, we're doing a second one, we know exactly what we're doing. Go. We had a roadmap ready to go.
Yeah, because Williamson had a treatment for 3,
yes.
even though he hadn't written the script for it. Yeah.
He always had the whole franchise already planned out in his head.
Yeah.
So no wonder the second one works just as well as the first one because it was the same energy running throughout. So yeah.
So Scream 2 is a great movie. It's great too. But we've got to go on to our number ones. So it's obviously the original movie.
Yeah.
The original movie it's like a timeless. In terms of the other movies, the other movies can kind of date a little bit, and you can kind of. Your opinion can change of them, and you can think, I don't know if that works anymore. But the first movie, it's like a timeless movie, like A Nightmare on Elm Street or something like that. You can put it on, and it'll always be good.
Yeah.
You know, you'll always have a good time with it. It's got the only negative thing I'd say about the first movie is a lot. It's hard for the movie to live up to the opening.
Classic, absolutely classic scene. No, it ain't gonna work.
Dear.
It ain't gonna. Don't trust phones in a Scream movie.
Don't you watch scary movies?
Yeah, duh.
You might as well just come out here to investigate a strange noise or something.
You had your fun now, so I think you better just leave or else.
The opening is so strong.
It's very strong.
And it's the scariest part of the film that nothing in the movie is quite as good as that, but it's still good. And everything's still good in it, you know.
I think by that point, what it shows is this is what's more interesting, is that the first Scream had this horrible, nasty opening, Drew Barrymore and everything else. The rest of it becomes a genuinely intriguing whodunit. It's this is the thing also. I'm not sure if people would have said this already, but Scream is never. I've never seen Scream as a full-blown horror scary franchise.
No.
Like there are moments of genuine scares, but I've never seen it as full horror scary, right?
No.
I see it as sort of like it's horror movies for dummies. It's also scenes. It's like horror movies for people who like Dawson's Creek. Yeah. It's that kind of vibe. But so what do? You lure them in by having pretty people, but a good murder mystery.
There's a formula to it. A very simple formula. Everybody's a suspect.
And you can go with that because it's not all that scary. It's not always that gory. And you can watch the rest of it being intrigued by who is it. And also all the curveballs in the first movie where you, be honest, when I first watched it, I really didn't think Billy was the killer. I thought there was enough evidence to prove that he wasn't the killer. Yeah, and it's just got so many. Did you know when you first time you saw the first movie, were you under like 18 or whatever? Like, I think I saw this. I think I saw the first Scream I think I saw my first Scream at a friend's house.
Yeah.
I must have been 13. Generally looked at the opening and I was shocked and giddy at the same time. Like, what the hell was that?
Turn on the patio lights.
Oh, I love this scene so much.
It's so brutal, this scene. It's the way this is the way you kickstart a horror movie.
100%. It's genuinely nasty.
Oh God!
I wouldn't do that if I were you. Yes.
Uh-oh.
That all depends on you.
I don't know about you as well. I found this scene very tragic and sad as well. Like, it gives me goosebumps because it's horrible to watch. It's unsettling.
It's pure. It's genuine torture where you have to use your movie knowledge to save your boyfriend. It's not fair, really, if you think about it. Oh, show it.
Oh, he's actually gutted. It's horrible.
That's actually really gross, isn't it? It's such a nasty thing to happen in the first literally 15 minutes of the movie. And that's the first time you ever see the mask.
Yeah, I remember I didn't know at all what it looked like. First time I saw it, I didn't know what because now it's so cemented in pop culture, you know exactly what it looks like. But this is a great shot. I remember this being disturbing because look, you see the penetration of the blade. It's
done really well, this. Oh! Right in the...
And this is when the tragic score kicks in, like the music starts going really sad here.
Yeah. I love this. Because we don't see it, but she gets to see it. She knows. But then it eases it out, and it makes it easier for me to watch the rest of, expecting that this is as nasty it will get. It's me going through the rest of the movie going, okay, so that's pretty nasty. Is the whole movie going to be this way? And I'm glad that it wasn't. It introduced me to the tropes of horror movies at the time, because being 13, I haven't watched a lot of horror movies. You know, I was an action movie guy, so horror movies were a no for me, really. So I watched them instead. And this was like a good way to ease you in. And I feel like that's why the first one does so well, is that it's also to a degree, and still is to a point, an educational tool.
Yeah. The first movie frightened me quite a lot, but I was obsessed with it at the same time. I found it really scary because it was the fact that it wasn't monsters; it was real people. You could have, and then any weirdo with a phone and a knife could do that in real life. You know, like, and I found that very scary. And I also, I was so obsessed with it that, like, I remember in college, we had to do this creative project, and I actually made like. What are they called?
A
diorama, where I had like a card sort of set kind of area, and I had a cardboard cutout of Ghostface chasing a victim.
Jesus!
They were little cutouts, and it was quite macabre, you know, for the time. I was quite young.
Did your parents get a phone call going, buddy, hi, Ed sent me this thing? Do you want to have a come in and have a chat, please?
But yeah, so I remember buying a Scream mask, but at the time, it wasn't quite as easy to get the proper ones, because the merch hadn't really kicked in and become big at that point. So I remember getting one that looked a bit like it, not quite like it. So it had that long, like, sort of screaming mouth, but the eye holes are more round, so it was quite not quite there.
Now you can get them in all types, especially one where it bleeds blood.
Yeah.
And also, the way it's used its meta-ness and its referencing was done well, and it was not always so in your face. It just it just referenced horror movies very well, and had the one character that was movie savvy and really broke the rules, and you know, and to the point that he was almost to a point a comical character, you know, when it's "I'll be right back."
And number 3, never, ever, ever, under any circumstances, say "I'll be right back," because you won't be back.
I'm getting another beer. You want one?
Yeah, sure.
I'll be right back.
Hey! Yeah. And everything else.
It's the revival of the slasher movie that the Scream was. So it made me go and check out Halloween. Yeah. And obviously all the movies came out as well. Like I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah.
And you know the Friday the 13th movies. We went back and watched those as well. And it just kick-started my love of slashers. So
yeah, it brought that back. So yeah,
it's really good. Right. So okay, next thing we want to talk about is future sequels of Scream.
Sure.
What do we want and what don't we want?
That's hard, actually. I will say, for me, that I think it's about time we move away from all. I think all the characters need to go now. All the old characters need to go.
Yeah.
And I feel like I get it. The Holy Trinity. Now only sadly the duo that's left, right? This movie, Scream 5, proved that they really don't have a lot more to do or say anymore.
Yes.
So let's move on and keep that vibe going. Let's have Samantha Carpenter doing her thing. But I think that I think this time round, it has to have a bit more unique. It has to not fall on just being so meta this time.
Yes.
I feel like the problem is this number 5 was too meta for me, and everyone was too self-aware, and that kind of dragged me out. If you make this one be genuinely more like a unique, elevated horror movie, I'm going to use that in air quotes, you know, make it a bit different that way. Like, kind of thing like with a TV series, it felt like it wasn't following, it didn't really follow the movies in that sense. It had a whole new vibe to it.
Yeah, its own identity.
Ooh! Sneaky, sneaky.
Bottle of wine.
Would you like a glass? Oh, the mask is interesting. I haven't seen the mask before.
Yeah, even the look of Ghostface is different in the TV series, which is kind of interesting.
I like that. Ooh. This Ghostface likes a bit of foreplay. This is foreplay. All the other Ghostface are just go for it.
Corkscrew.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Ah, through the neck.
I assume you're not gonna have the red then, yeah? Jesus Christ!
The TV show, you haven't seen any of it. You've only seen that clip that we reacted to.
Yeah, which was wow.
And I deliberately picked a clip it's the most gritty out of a lot of the kills and stuff. There is like elements that are classic Ghostface, so he does still have the silly voice on the phone calls and he phones people up.
Yeah.
Game's still on, and we're in the bonus round.
I played by your rules. I did everything that you wanted.
And he like sort of, you know, torments people that way. But the shows, because it came out a lot later, it's got a lot of like cyberbullying elements and stuff. He uses social media and he uses sort of like modern day technology.
Okay.
But the important thing is the vibe of it's very different because there's there's a lot of classical music in the score. There's a completely different, well, not completely different, but the look of Ghostface, he's basically just wearing like what looks like a hooded poncho type of thing. Like,
it's interesting.
And a scarier, realistic looking, that's not as cartoony, mask.
So is the whole series more grounded, basically?
I would say so. It's still got elements of like, some of the actors are a bit cheesy and stuff, and like there's still elements that feel a bit like classic slasher movie.
Go ahead, take a look.
But on the whole, it's established its own vibe, which I like. It's separating itself from the movies because it's got its own thing going on.
And on top of that, it feels like, and the thing is, when you're going to do something like a TV series or something, and you can't bring, and you can't do it by either like bringing all the old actors back or doing some way to connect it, you have to do your own vibe. And I'm glad it does. There are people that always feel a little bit wary about when they're adapting like a movie into a TV series or something, and whether or not it's going to keep the same vibe or do something different. I think it should be different. The movies are their own thing.
Yeah.
And the TV series should be their own thing.
Yeah. Here's my plan, right? I want the next movie it'll kind of be a follow-on, like with those characters, and hopefully like the things you've suggested. It like may not rely heavily on meta, but it's still continuing that whole vibe.
Yeah.
But then I've got a plan for the next movie, the 7th movie, in homage to Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which is the 7th Nightmare on Elm Street. I want to go back to being extreme meta and have the actors like this Ghostface is in real life basically, and he's sort of haunting Nev Campbell basically.
So we're going to do a New Nightmare basically.
Yeah, I would like it. It has to be the 7th movie, like Nightmare on Elm, like Wes Craven's New Nightmare was the 7th one. And have it super gritty. Like it doesn't feel like it hasn't got the campness of the Scream movie.
It's all gone.
Yeah.
The campness is gone. It's all to do now with just bring all the characters back. You bring all the actors back, even from all the other sequels that didn't do well. Like, just bring actors back now. Now they're just being haunted by them, and whoever this Ghostface killer is always been a fan of the Scream movies. Not the stab movies like in this one, they've been a fan of theirs. Yeah. But they want to, but maybe the fact they kind of wanted to maybe because here's something I've noticed with a lot of the Scream sort of actors or some of the new leads or who they were pushing. You don't really see them a lot in other things anymore, or you don't see him be prominent roles in other movies. So maybe this killer is trying to just spark inspiration of trying to get them to do new and exciting things. Not with Scream, but just get them to do things. Yeah. And that's the level of meta-ness it is, like going literally after Neve Campbell and saying, why do I barely see you anymore? Or going to some of the other final girls in particular, and going like, what are you doing? Do something new.
I know, and I would shoot it, if it was me, I would shoot it almost like a documentary style.
Yes.
And I'd have hardly any music in it, so it was all sort of gritty sound design, or just kind of like, just the dialogue and maybe sort of elements of like sound design, but not overly dramatic. Because the thing is, the Scream movies have a very theatrical score often. Yeah. And that's prominent. Get rid of all that, have it very subtle, the score, and have the cinematography like a bit similar to, you remember how like Black Swan was shot, where that's quite documentary style in the way that was shot. Have it shot like that.
Wow.
So there's a lot of following the actors around, like, you know, over the shoulder kind of thing.
And you know what? Bring this even further. The idea of having it feel like, you know, the whole point is that it could make a real thing like, oh, he's doing things like the movie. The twist is, no, it isn't, because real serial killers, unless there might be a pattern, yes, but they're not going to act out exactly like a movie would. So it's just, what the reveal is just Ghostface is just some guy. Yeah. It's just some guy. There is no connection to any of it. It's just some guy. And while that might feel disappointing, it's the God honest truth with a lot of these.
Scarier.
It's scarier realizing it's just some guy on the street and not someone you know, or there's no motive, that kind of vibe.
Yeah, not like a Scream fan or anything, like not someone that's absolutely obsessed anyway, just someone who's
just someone who might be a fan in a different way, and not like purposely trying to reenact the Scream movies or whatever it is, or do whatever. It's just a guy. Yeah. And that could be, a horribly dour note. But then again, A New Nightmare was quite dour as well.
I love New Nightmare. I think it's great. And I think enough time has passed that you could do that again with the Scream, especially with it being connected to Wes Craven. Yeah. I think you could do that and it wouldn't feel like, oh, they're just doing Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I think if you did it in a different style, but you took that on that kind of homage, I think it would work pretty well. But it has to be the 7th movie, so they have to make one in between that.
And then the 8th movie is our crossover we talked about, Halloween Screams.
Yeah, you gotta do that. Like Jason versus Freddy.
We'll bring Halloween Screams back. Let's do that.
Right. So finally, guys, so how would you rank the Scream movies? Would you agree with our lists? Would you do them completely different? What are your thoughts on that? Post in the comments. Right, thanks for watching, guys. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like. If you want to see more from us, hit that subscribe. See you next time on Enigmatic Productions.